we're going to do this, but we're going to do it our way.
You bought a robot, baby?
Wow, that was a joke grenade. That took me a second. Imagine the poop emoji as furniture.
It's weird that we didn't do that 10 minutes ago.
We should have started that before, you know. That makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't we do that?
Too late now.
Matt, you forgot to disclaimer this part. We're old, and we remember how it used to be. There, go. And it was better then, too. You got to put that in there. Ice is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly.
While you guys are weaving belts, I'm going to sing this little tune that I wrote.
We think we're funny. On with the show.
This is X Radio X.
Wait for it.
Oh, there it is.
Hey.
Well, good evening, Matt.
Hello, Jayce.
I hit
How are you?
record, so this must be X Radio X. I'm doing good. Doing good, sir. How are you today? Or tonight,
Very
I should
well. I am. I'm discovering in my old age that I might be developing seasonal allergies.
say. Is that something you can develop?
I don't know. I never had them before, but I, you go outside and it's like the air is thick with pollen, and then you come in and you just have a little tickle in the back of your throat, and you think I'm either going to die of COVID or I might have allergies. But it's been several seasons now that I've started to get that, so I think it's just maybe my immune system was better when I was younger, and I was just fighting off my allergies that I've always had, and now it just gave up. Maybe
It could be. This sounds like that.
Good.
This sounds like that Wayne's World joke. Remember that time I thought I had mono for a month? Come to find out, I was just really bored.
Just really bored. Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I watched it not too long ago. It holds up. It's still good.
It is good. I miss Mike Myers. He did good stuff. He's funny.
Yeah, he did. His problem for me was, and I love Mike Myers. He got really popular for this one thing, so he tried to turn that one thing into 7 other things that were kind of like it.
Right.
And it's like,
Yes.
can't do
That's
that.
true. Yeah. Goldfinger. No, wait. What was it? Austin Powers became
Austin Powers and Goldmember. Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me.
the love guru.
Yeah, that was the one that was the nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah.
The love guru.
A
It was
little too
also
much.
it was also semi-racist when you look back at it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think it would have held up today.
No, he would be canceled.
So-
People, if you're listening, do not watch that show because we don't want anything to happen to Mike Myers.
So I'm glad you all tuned in to our Mike Myers podcast. We're going to talk about Mike Myers for the next
Ontario, Canada.
We're going to talk about him for the next 3 to 4 hours. So settle in, grab yourself a nice warm drink for this evening.
And
I
then
say
Mike
evening
Myers
because
met David Bryan.
yes, who
Stars
got in a fight
aligned.
with Kenny G. It was a 3-way
Now,
rumble
all right, wait.
on Celebrity Deathmatch.
What if it was Kenny G and Mike Myers versus David Bryan? Then I feel like it's an even battle.
Yeah,
If it was just curly hair versus curly hair, I think David Bryan would win in a landslide. But if you throw Mike Myers in, he's not a fighter, but he is another warm body that could maybe distract you.
he's weight. You can
He's weight.
throw this weight at them.
Yeah.
And then Kenny G could, swoop in with his soprano saxophone and just Kong.
See, that's the thing. You have a saxophone, which is pretty much a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Even if David Bryan brought like a keytar, he can't swing that thing around. It's too heavy. It's not really a practical weapon.
I don't know. I know somebody who plays a keytar. You can swing it. And I'm serious. I know somebody who plays a keytar, and she plays it well.
Oh my goodness. You're going to have to capture that on video for me.
Oh, it's out there on YouTube. I can send it to you.
So today we were going to delve into a little bit of radio history because A, we like to talk about it. B, I've actually had feedback when I have asked the Twitterverse and other folks who listen, what would you like to hear more about? They do mention radio behind the scenes, and they do mention other DJs and former radio people. And so this is kind of talking about that sort of thing. Radio from a historical perspective, and also our, I guess, history, because we grew up with these radio programs that sort of became a part of our wallpaper.
Yeah, these it was the thing that I always did when I was doing something else.
Right, exactly.
There was always a radio on. I was always
Yeah.
listening to somebody talking on the radio or music playing on the radio. When I would go to bed at night, I would listen to talk radio when I go to bed because I have a hard time falling asleep. You know, back in that day, I was really into hard driving music, a lot of rock, and even the pop I listened to was energetic.
Yeah,
it's hard to fall asleep to
Can't
that.
go to sleep to that. No,
But the nice monotones of talk radio.
Yes,
as awful as what I'm about to say. Works. It'll put you right to sleep.
Every time. Works.
But
every time.
But the funny part about that for me is I found myself listening to it more and more and more and more, and I would fall asleep later and later and later, and I would just end up listening to talk radio programs as a kid.
Yeah,
which is very weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
I don't disagree.
And you and I have that in common because we talked about, I think, last episode that I used to go to sleep to Bruce Williams and Dr. Ruth, which the 1-2 punch of what was it? Bruce Williams he was kind of everything. He was like a mayor, I think, and he was a writer, and then he did an advice show.
Like a general entrepreneur. That's what I kind of wrote down because that's one of the things you and I have in common is I used to listen to Bruce Williams all the time as a kid. And then when I was driving for work, I would still this is probably in the early 2000s when I would be driving from city to city at night, I would scan the AM dial to find Bruce Williams. And believe it or not, he was still out there in some format.
Yeah,
I know.
And he wasn't like super dynamic. He wasn't like super hilarious. He wasn't even very funny, but he was engaging. And people would call him or people would come on the show and they would offer advice for a variety of general situations.
Yeah.
And it was soothing and it was a relaxing listen, and it did often make me fall asleep. However, depending on what time I went to bed, if I was up a little bit later than normal, and this is granted, I was early teens.
Yeah, I was young, and you're a few years younger than me. So, yeah. I mean, you must have been in your early teens because
I might have even been a tween. I think I was 12, 13, 14 in that range. Because
I started listening when I was probably 8, 9, 10 because I was trying to listen to Tigers baseball, and when they were on rain delay or out, on the West Coast, you'd get Bruce Williams. And I have some things written down about Bruce Williams, but now that we're 7 minutes in, I feel like we need to do our professional things so we can talk about other radio professionals.
Yes. Did we say anything naughty before we started? I think we're okay.
I think this one is going to be probably sans naughty words, but we need to give you the disclaimer because
indeed, it's got to happen.
We're known by tens of people are waiting for us to do this. So Matt, I need to put you in a mood.
Take it away.
As our old professor used to say, it's time for a little theater of the mind. So here we go. Tonight, we'll take a trip into the unknown. Tonight, we'll talk about things that only exist on a wave. Be warned, we're going to reminisce. Be warned, we're old, and I believe in Bigfoot. Be warned. It's X Radio X. You have been warned.
And I just want to say, Bigfoot believes in you, Jayce.
He does. Fun fact about Jayce, he has a Bigfoot statue.
I know.
And it's in his front yard in his nice upwardly higher middle, whatever the word I'm looking for, upper middle class neighborhood. And I got a Bigfoot statue, and people know because my person of interest, yes, I've stolen that from you. My person of interest, Amy, where she works, one of her coworkers lives in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And when he's out walking his dog, he can see the front of our house, of course. And he saw that we have a Bigfoot statue there. Well, at one point in time last year, I had moved the Bigfoot statue to the backyard.
Oh,
because we were trying some things out with our landscaping, but Bigfoot just didn't work in the backyard. No. And he had come into work, and he asked Amy. He said, "So what happened to Bigfoot?" And this is why her and I were a thing, because she looked at him and said, "What do you mean, Bigfoot?"
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, "Well played, well played." And she said, "Nah, I'm just kidding.
That.
We put Bigfoot in the backyard. He's back out front now because people know us as the house with Bigfoot in front of it, and
Perfect.
I'm okay with that. I like that."
All right, so Bruce Williams, I don't know if he believes in Bigfoot, but he did believe in helping his fellow man.
I'm going to go with he probably didn't believe in Bigfoot. He seemed like a very practical person. And so we were talking about Bruce Williams before we gave our professional disclaimer. But my little bit of history, and we were kind of talking about our history with him, but my little bit of history with Bruce Williams was he was on nights on WSGW here in the Great Lakes Bay region. And he was the radio show that was on when the Tigers were either on rain delay or when they were out west, and you had to wait till like 11:30 before the game would start. So I spent a lot of time listening to Bruce Williams waiting for the Tigers. And as I got older and I was driving for my job, I would still scan the airways trying to find, and he was on. I don't remember when he went off the air, but he was still on, I want to say, into the early 2000s, because I was still driving between Michigan and Indiana quite a bit. And I would pick him up from time to time. And it was always, he was on talk radio, but he wasn't, like now talk radio it's pretty much hard right radio if you're in that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
He was not, he may have been a conservative. He may have been on that side of the fence, but he never came at you like that. He was like, he was just giving you advice, like professional advice on what to do with things.
Pretty neutral, educated advice. It wasn't leaning in any particular direction.
My big comment that I wrote when I was looking up things about Bruce Williams was, he was kind of like listening to your grandpa reinforce what your parents already told you.
Yes, well said. That's a good summing up of Bruce Williams.
And he was big in. I remember a lot of his stuff revolved around real estate, as a lot of people's financial investments did at that point in time.
Yeah,
but he owned businesses. I don't know. You looked up some things about him too, I think.
Well, I think I just remember him being, and I think this kind of maybe was destroyed a little bit having been in radio, but I just was appreciative of the fact that he knew an answer for every thing, and it always made sense. Like whatever he never said, I'm going to have to think about that, or I'm going to have to get back to you, or I've never heard of that situation. He was always, here's what I would, he knew something, or he had someone on who knew something, but it was like, he knew everything at the drop of a hat. And now, he probably there was probably some radio wizardry involved, but in the time, it seemed like he knew everything about everything.
He was the type of guy who knew exactly where to find it in the card catalog.
Yes. Oh, and he always said, he always started his show. Do you remember? He always started his show.
I used to know.
Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world.
That's what he said. Yep.
And that was so zen.
It was.
Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world.
He wrote a bunch of books. He, he had some businesses. He actually started a private preschool in New Jersey.
Oh, that's weird. Really?
It is. What? And why does that seem like it's weird? It's a needed thing. But that was the first thing I thought too. Like in my head, I'm like, well, that's odd. But why is it odd?
Someone's got to do it, I suppose, but it does just seem strange.
But this is such a New Jersey thing, because that's where he was. I don't think he was born there, but he was raised in New Jersey, and the preschool is in New Jersey. But he also, get this, had business ventures in several nightclubs. How New Jersey is that?
That is very New Jersey.
It's very stereotypical.
And that's not very Bruce Williams, but good for him.
Well, he was into real estate, and he was an entrepreneur. And if, he probably thought it was going to make money. Now, when I say nightclubs, that doesn't necessarily mean they were like skeezy joints.
Right.
Does
that exist anymore? The long form advice radio, is that on anywhere these days?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, I don't listen to too much AM radio, so it could exist there. like middays, or I don't know, but I haven't heard of any.
I
Maybe
feel like
on a
AM
local
radio,
level, but
like local level here in the
yeah.
Great Lakes Bay region, long form advice. We have Art Lewis. He still
Mhm.
does it. And
Does he really?
Yeah, he does.
How old is he?
Old. I'm
70,
not sure.
Easily 70, right? Gotta be.
He's got to be pushed. I'm gonna say he's in his mid to late 70s.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah, but he's still going. I have a fun
Good
Art
for
Lewis
him.
story. Here in Michigan, there's every year there's a thing called the Michigan Association of Broadcasters. It's held in Lansing, and it's kind of like the big trade awards thing for Michigan broadcasters.
Yeah.
The MABs,
Oh yeah.
as they call them. Well,
know
one
them
year,
well.
one year, Bridget and I went
Mhm.
down to work there,
Okay.
and I was working the check-in.
Oh.
And I did not know that Art Lewis was broadcasting live from the MABs. But my mother listens to talk radio all the time. Listen to Art Lewis. She listens to all the local stuff. She still likes it. And she called into his show and asked him, I shouldn't say told him. Well, my mom may have told him to go over to the check-in booth and say hi to her son.
No way.
Yeah. So he came over to the check-in booth where I was working.
Yeah.
And I was, at that time I was a nobody working in college radio. I thought I was somebody, but down there I'm like, oh God, these are real radio people.
Right.
And he came over and he sat and talked to me for like 10 minutes. And I was it was my version of one of my first being starstruck by a local radio. And then I worked with him because I ended up working at WSGW. And
did he remember that?
Yes, he did.
Nice.
And he was just as nice to me working there as he was when he didn't change. Like it wasn't a different person.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
So that was really cool.
That is really cool. I won a couple of those, by the way.
That's because you're better at this than I am. I won 0 of them.
I think I'm actually more proud of creating Duran Duran Appreciation Day, but I did win, I think, 2 MAB awards.
I'm trying to think if I've ever won any awards. I have plenty of participation awards.
Yeah.
I did win an award.
Yeah. What was it?
I did. I'm almost don't even know if I should say what I won. I did win an XE.
You won an XE for sure.
I did win an XE. I don't remember why I won the XE, but I did win one. But I actually won an official college sports award.
You did?
Yep.
I know what it's for.
I won an award. Gosh, what was it? It was essentially unsung hero.
Okay.
Male on the Northern Michigan University college cheerleading team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There it is. I just outed myself.
Love it.
But
why don't you have that displayed
I don't even
somewhere?
know where it is anymore. It's in one of my Tupper boxes somewhere, full of my stuff.
It should be next to your Darth Vader.
Right. Yeah. You guys can't see this, but I got a Darth Vader right next to me.
Yeah.
Being a college cheerleader turned me to the dark side.
All right. So that's Bruce Williams.
That's Bruce Williams. What we did there, and actually we can tie that all together. What we did there is we just did a bunch of general information.
We did.
And that's what Bruce Williams used to do.
Exactly. He was a potpourri of advice.
Yeah. And you'd tune in for 2 to 3 hours a night. And it was just it really was listening to your grandfather tell you things.
Yeah. Except for when you really want to listen to your grandfather tell you things, you would listen to Paul Harvey.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Did you ever listen to him?
Oh, God, yes.
So Paul Harvey was, and I don't know a lot about him as a person. I do remember listening to him. Gosh, I think it was middays. It was like in the middle of the day. He would do news and he would do, personal interest stories. And he had this cadence and this radio persona that it just sucked you in. Like it made you say, what's this old guy going to say next? Even though he wasn't always old, but when he was, you couldn't stop listening, even if it was something really boring, because he made it sound like all right, you guys, this is boring, but let's get through it together. And it became kind of compelling.
He was
You know what I
super
mean?
folksy.
He was super folksy. And he always, like you said, he'd always say, Paul Harvey, good day. But he almost said it like a question, like, good day?
Good day.
Yeah, exactly. And he would tell these stories that were, I don't want to say they're mysteries, but they would lead you in a certain direction. And they were special interest stories. And he would talk about, this, I don't know, this guy who went every day to a forest and he would cut down one tree every day and blah, blah, blah. And you'd be like, what is going on? This story is nonsense. And then he would say, and now the rest of the story. And it would reveal, okay, this guy was a lunatic, or he was, I don't know, rescuing cats that were stuck up those trees. It was something that all made sense. But when you're listening to the story, you're like, where's he going? And then the rest of the story would always kind of wrap it up in a neat little bow. And that was one of his trademarks, was that, and now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah, he would start out with, hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news. It was similar to that. I'm probably not doing it justice, but that's really what it was like. I worked in AM radio for a while. I've heard quite a bit of Paul Harvey.
So you probably heard it a lot more than I did, but he was a personality. Like, he was one of those people, because all he was doing was the news. Like, he wasn't, like, he read about, he did some long form stories, but he basically was a anchor. I mean, to a certain degree, he was a guy who read news copy, but he made it so interesting. And the way he phrased it, and his pauses, like his pregnant pauses when he was talking about, say, someone who was kind of weird, and he would just like, so-and-so, da-da-da, and then he would give you a beat, and you'd know he was thinking, okay, this guy's crazy, let's continue. Like, his way of phrasing a story made it more interesting than if I were to just read it and say, okay, there's a guy chopping down trees. When he said it, you were captivated. And that was what was interesting, I think, about Paul Harvey.
Did you know, I was just reading a little bit about him, that he popularized the terms Reaganomics and guesstimate?
Guesstimate? Really?
That's according to what I just read, that he popularized, though.
Yeah, I would say that seems like something he would do. Yeah, sure.
And what I'm going to say here is a testament to how he used to do things, because I never thought of him this way, but apparently he was a very big conservative and a very hard right winger. But when you listen to his stuff, it never came across to me that way. It was always very folksy, it was like he literally was like listening to your grandfather.
But this is the thing. And this, I think we could talk about this for a long time. And since we've, had a non-political credo, we'll dance around it a little. But I think that there was a time when you read news to give people factual information only, and you let them make their own determination.
Right. And like today, there was 5 car accidents, 4 people died in the weather. And that was all you would say.
Yeah. You would say there were 5 car accidents. You wouldn't say there were 5 car accidents. And then underneath there was a chyron that says, like, are cars unsafe? It wouldn't make you think, should I be thinking something different? If you thought cars weren't safe, then that's on you. Great. Do your research. But the news would just say, here's the news. This is what happened. Have a good day. And then that was how it went. And now it's not always like that. But Paul Harvey, one of the old school guys.
Yes, he was. And he also, did you know that he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
What? For what?
Yeah. For being Paul Harvey, I suppose. I'm not sure.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, he was a close friend of Joseph McCarthy, though, so that'll tell you a few things.
Oh.
Yeah. But like I said, we're not going to go down the political road here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And now we know the rest of the story.
Now you know the rest of the story. Something to tie him back to our, local Michigan roots here. Matt, do you know who one of his fill-in hosts was?
One of
Paul
his
W.
fill-in hosts was somebody
Yeah.
from Michigan. I'm going to
Yep.
guess. Was it you?
No,
Then I don't know.
it was Paul W. Smith.
Paul W. Smith. Wait a
You
minute.
remember
The
Paul W.
Christian
Smith?
rock singer?
No, that's Michael W. Smith. I'm sad I know that.
Oh, that's right.
Paul W. Smith was on WJR Detroit.
Wait a minute. I do know that name. I would
Yeah.
probably remember if I heard his voice, but I can't remember him right now. Huh.
Yeah, WJR. He was weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9. WJR.
So I'm curious.
Paul W. Smith.
If you recall, and this is asking you to really reach into your Wayback Machine, but did he do the same like segments that Paul Harvey would do? Like, would he do the rest of the story and that sort of thing?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't, because that's like such a Harvey thing. I don't know if anyone could just reproduce it. Which actually, I don't know if you have anything more to talk about Paul Harvey, but that made me think of another show.
Okay.
So if it made me think of the Prairie Home Companion. Are you familiar at all with the Prairie Home Companion?
Oh, I am totally familiar with the Prairie Home Companion.
So let's dive into this a little bit. So Prairie Home Companion is on it. It was on NPR. I have to say was. It was hosted by Garrison Keillor. He was a guy, radio personality, author, sort of jack of all trades from Minnesota. And they recorded out of Minnesota, and he would tell these tales of, what was it, Lake Wobegon. And I
read one of the books, yeah.
And it was a very old-timey, Americana.
It was a radio show.
It was, yeah. It was a true radio show in the sense that they did singing, dancing. They did stage play. They did, sound effects. They had a sound effects guy that would live do, like door opening noises and people walking and squeaking of steps and all those things he would do in real time when they were, having this radio play.
He had a live Foley artist.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, like, if someone got in a car, there would be someone going and making all these noises live for the studio audience, and then for people in listening in Radioland. And they would do these shows. I think it was once a week, but they would do a live show in Minnesota, in some theater in Minnesota, and then they toured for a while too. So they would do it in different places, but it was like this amazing production. They had, guest singers and performers and all in kind of the blues, jazz, country, gospel, those
very
genres.
Americana once again.
Yeah. And they would just put on this big show, and it definitely was skewed towards an older listener. I think it would be safe to say. What do you think? Yeah,
I if you mean older listeners, my parents, then yes, you're right. Because my mom and dad would listen to it. Was it Sunday or Saturday afternoons? I can't remember, but it was on the weekend.
Yeah, and it was entertaining for people who found it entertaining. It was a dad joke to people who it was not their cup of tea. It was definitely a groaning kind of thing, but
yeah. I loved it.
Me too. I liked it a lot. And it even had such a following that it became a movie, like, I don't know, like 2008 or 9, like pretty recently. They made a movie, and Meryl Streep was in it, I think. Yeah, like a lot of big name people were like, I want to be on the Prairie Home Companion movie. And it happened. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. And actually, I think Garrison Keillor was in it too. And then unfortunately, cut to several years later, Garrison Keillor got into a little bit of trouble. I don't know. I don't
remember what he got in trouble for, but I know he did.
A little. I don't know. I'm not going to tell tales out of school, but it sounded like there might have been some, he did some things that were maybe inappropriate. Depending on who you ask, it was a misunderstanding. I'm not going to be the judge and jury or executioner, but he resigned from Prairie Home Companion. It was sad.
Is that why he left? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he was I think that he was retiring anyway because the guy from Nickel Creek, I think his name is Chris Thiel or something, he took over, and he's like this mandolin aficionado. Like he plays mandolin like The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And
Gotcha.
so he took over as the host, and I think it was actually after he took over that these things came to light about Garrison Keillor. And so he was like a producer, or he would do some of the shows, but then he decided to just retire and not do any more shows. And Chris Thiel took over, and they ended up, because of this controversy, they changed the name of the show, and it became Live From Here. And that was the new name of the show. Same basic idea, same Americana, folky, bluegrass music. I mean, Nickel Creek is right in that wheelhouse. And they would always have special guests. And one of the things that I really liked about when he took over is he would do this birthday thing. I don't remember Garrison Keillor doing it, but he would do this birthday thing where they would talk about celebrity birthdays. And whenever there was a musician in the celebrity birthdays, Chris Thiel and, the entourage, the repertory company or whatever, would play a song by them. So if it was, someone from Radiohead, they would play a Radiohead song in like bluegrass style. And if it was Pearl Jam, they would play a Pearl Jam song, bluegrass style. Like they would do, I've heard them do those two bands. I've heard them do like the Pixies. Like they did a bunch of artists that would never really get exposure on that type of program. And they would do them bluegrassy, and it was cool because, I mean, I like cover songs, but it was cool that they would do these live songs that the people that normally listen would never get to hear those songs. I thought that was pretty neat, but unfortunately, I think that show got canceled this year.
Well, they couldn't really do it live, so they probably had a little bit of issues there.
That's a good point. I think that's, what, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, if you can't have an audience,
it's hard to do a live program.
Right. Because I imagine it cost a lot of money, to put out the artists they had on and pay all the players. And if they're not selling tickets, then what can they do?
Yeah. So basically, I think we should start this by going, hey, this is 2 weeks after the last one screwed up. So we're about to finish what we started 2 weeks ago. Nothing's changed. It's not like we have life going on or anything.
It feels like seconds, but also a lifetime.
Exactly. Actually, it got to the point, folks, where Matt texts me, he says, hey, remember when we used to do a podcast? Wasn't that cool? And I'm like, who is this?
Who dis? Oh man!
I actually had to tell him a thing that only him and only I would know that he would know.
Yeah,
and I nailed it right square on the top of the head.
That was perfect. I knew you were not an imposter. So we were talking about shows, syndicated radio shows, and we just, to those of you who have been listening from the beginning, nothing has happened. But for us, we have done a lot of different things. I grew a really long gray beard. Jayce, you've had a couple more kids.
I did.
And so, but we're going to just act like nothing ever happened. So
like I got a couple more kids. They grew up, moved out. It's been so long. I don't even remember who they are, really. They never show up anymore.
Now this podcast you're listening to by eating a piece of gum and it just appears in your brain.
Yeah, it's podcast candy.
Exactly. So we finished talking about Live From Here.
What the hell are we talking about? All right.
What's the next one you want to discuss?
Oh, there was something I wanted to talk about, though, that was because we didn't talk about this while we were talking about A Prairie Home Companion.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a funny story about the Prairie Home Companion. One,
okay,
I don't remember if I mentioned this, but my parents have seen the live Prairie Home Companion 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, big fans. Like, I'd been
Yeah.
listening to the Prairie Home Companion since I was young, and I thought just everybody listened to this. Like, and I went
That's
to
radio.
yeah, that's radio. I went to baseball practice while I was in high school. Mind you, I was in high school when I did this, so I'm 17-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, you guys ever heard of this show? It's a Prairie Home Companion." They all looked at me like who? Like I had something growing out of the side of my head.
You aged before their eyes.
It was like I actually, in that moment in time, I grew hair out of my ears like an old man, and hair out of my nose like old men do when they don't cut it. And they just looked at me. And the one guy I was on the baseball team with was like, "Dude, that's on public radio. Nobody listens to
Are
that."
you a narc?
And then that's when I turned my baseball bat into a cane and hobbled off the field.
Yeah. Perfect.
So yeah, they totally made fun of me. I thought it was normal. Apparently, you could see how cool I was growing up.
Yeah.
I listened.
Hey, you know what? I don't knock anyone for listening to that. It was entertaining. It was theater of the mind.
Yeah,
like we
but
said.
one of my favorite things before we close this out, besides the dumb story about me thinking everybody listened to this radio program, is I loved their fictional sponsors.
Yes.
Their powder milk biscuits. Everything was all fake. And
beep bop a rebop rhubarb pie.
That was my next one. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good, and the jingle was excellent.
Yeah, and
I don't know,
can't remember it, but
there was just something about Garrison Keillor's delivery and his voice, and it was so, it just kind of wrapped you up in a warm blanket, and apparently maybe wrapped you up a little inappropriately, but it was just so comforting, and it made you feel like, well, this guy, he's got stories.
And I grew up in a small town, which it wasn't like Lake Wobegon, but I could make the connection on a lot of things and kind of laugh. But before we go, my favorite sponsor of the whole thing was the Federation of Associated Organizations. That's how I knew I'm nonsense. Like, I belong here.
Yeah, exactly.
He's full of nonsense. I belong.
I know. And you know what? That does kind of talk about like the potential of radio for being like just whatever you want it to be. Like what they did, even if it wasn't your cup of tea, they did it how they wanted to do it. They made up sponsors. They said, we're going to have music and we're going to have plays and we're going to have a Foley artist that's going to perform live. Like it's just ridiculous stuff. And they made it work and it was cool. So like, it's a shame that there isn't more of that still in radio.
Oh, there is more of that. It's just not in radio. It's on TikTok, Matt.
Oh, okay.
It's not really theater of the mind anymore either. It's just kind of like leggings and women jumping up and down. I think that's what TikTok is based on. I mean, I hear there's recipes out there and instructionals, but every time I've looked at TikTok, it's women in workout clothes jumping up and down.
I have heard that the leggings are excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get me a pair of those.
I just love to say around the house. I just love to say the TikTok, like my grandparents would say something, and my kids just melt with cringe. It's like, oh, Dad, that's so cringy, and I'm like, I know. Why do you think I'm saying it?
Exactly. So,
right, so let's move on. Let's move on
yes.
to our next radio program.
So I want to talk about a couple things, and we can talk about them in the same little segment because they are 2 AM shows. AM radio that I know you listen to one a lot. I mostly listen to them making the drive from Marquette to Flint in the middle of the night.
Ah, yes.
Driving
I've made that drive a few times.
Driving those long nothing roads in the pitch black of Upper Michigan. And one of them was the Phil Hendry Show.
I never really listened to Phil Hendry. This one was a surprise to me.
And the other one was Coast to Coast AM, but I want to talk about Phil Hendry really quick. And then I know you have a lot to say about
that's my program right there.
Exactly. So Phil Hendry, if you've never listened to it, he did a program where he would interview all sorts of weird people. Like he would have a topic and it would be, say, I don't know, I was abducted by aliens. And then he would have someone on who claimed to have been abducted by aliens. And then you'd have someone else on who was like a professional science expert to debunk the fact that aliens could not possibly have abducted this person. And here are all these, evidential facts that would tell you that this person's garbage. And then the garbage person would say, oh, no, here's my proof. And they would kind of almost always get in an argument on the radio. And Phil Hendry was sort of the moderator. He would kind of try to keep these people from taking over his show. And sometimes people would call in and they would have comments and they would say, I believe this guy. And someone would call and they would say, no, I believe this guy. And Phil was just kind of like the circus ringleader. And it was very interesting, especially if you're driving in the middle of the night and there's this crazy chaos going on with all these people talking over each other or almost over each other. There's a reason why I said that. Because down the road, pun intended, I found out Phil Hendry was all of those characters. He played every voice. Every time he did a show and had someone on his program, he was himself. He was the guest. He was the caller who called in. He was all of them live.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I didn't know it for a long time. And I would listen and I'd be like, man, he has the most crazy guests and he barely keeps them in check. And the professionals that he has, they are their own characters and their own weird personalities. And he manages to find all these people. And then the callers that call in are just lunatics. Come to find out, he would do every single voice live in different mics. He would stand in his studio with different microphones, sometimes through a phone interface. So it sounded like he was on the phone. And he would perform this presentation live on his program every, whatever, if it was a nightly or if it was every week. But it was amazing. It made me both feel completely hoodwinked and also gain so much more respect for him as a broadcaster because he could do this entire thing all by himself.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then when you realize that, and unfortunately the realization was sort of a spoiler because, and I apologize if I've ruined this show for everybody, but he maybe, 20 years ago or something, maybe 15 years ago, he had a TV show because he was like at the height for AM radio. He was at the height of his popularity. And he had a TV show that was like loosely based on his life. And so he was a radio person and it lasted maybe a season, but it got a little press.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, it wasn't super popular. That's why it lasted one season. And in the show, you saw him do this in his radio studio. You saw him be all those characters. And it was like the big reveal. Well, this is what I do for a living. And then there were articles written about it too. And I was just like, what the hell? This guy is crazy. So it was fun for me to listen to before I knew. And then afterwards I was like, well, I just have to listen to see how he pulls this off, because you would notice with new ears, you would hear a conversation and there would be just a split second between every person that seemed like they were talking over each other, but they really weren't. And at the time you're thinking, wow, they're just all talking back and forth. And it was him. And there was just enough space. You could visualize, I'm going from this mic, and then he would like lean over and go to another mic. And it was incredible. I mean, I give him a lot of props for being able to do that consistently. And I, for one, was 100% fooled for a long time.
Wow. I'm on his website right now. He has a lot of characters he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know, does he still do radio? I haven't listened in a long time.
I don't think he's on radio anymore, but he has a podcast. And he has, according to the webpage, he's on episode 2022.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We're like almost there.
Yeah, we've only got a few thousand to go, I suppose.
2010.
Something like that. We're catching up, though, Phil. We're on your heels.
Phil Hendry. We're right behind you, buddy.
But yeah.
So anyway, Phil Hendry, I used to listen to that all the time. And it was one of those really late evening AM shows, not as late as Coast to Coast AM though.
He's even got merch, dude. Phil Hendry has merch.
I'm sure he does. I mean, like I said, he's AM radio famous. He's not like, Howard Stern famous, but
That means he makes $50,000 to $70,000 a year if he's AM radio famous.
Right.
Like he works way harder than the paycheck is.
Exactly. I don't know if he has a family or if he has to, pay bills. I'm sure he has something, but he does okay. For Phil Hendry, he does okay.
Yeah, he's got quite the merch store. You
gonna buy something?
Well, no, I don't think so. But I mean, you could buy women's underwear if you wanted to.
Oh, that's just weird.
I just feel like that's Phil Hendry's merchandise page. Wow.
That's strange.
Yeah, that's wow. I'm fairly speechless. There's the amount because it's on Cafe Press. So really, if you get something on Cafe Press, we could put X Radio X stuff on Cafe Press, and
maybe we should.
You could get a thong with X Radio X on the front of it. It wouldn't fit on the back, but
I wouldn't have to handwrite it with permanent marker anymore. So maybe we should do that.
I wouldn't get chased out of the local stores for putting our logo on underwear.
Stop doing that.
Men's and women's. We're fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Not kids, Coast to Coast we're not weirdos.
Let's talk Coast to Coast AM. So this is a show that you and I both liked.
Yeah,
you had listened a lot longer than me, I think.
Yeah, I listened a bunch. I haven't. I'll be completely honest. Since I've gotten a career that's not radio, and I'm not generally up at all hours of the night anymore.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous time to listen.
Yeah, I don't listen to Coast AM as much as I used to. And the originator of Coast to Coast AM was a man by the name of Art Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And Art Bell, he was I had all this written down, 25 years ago when we started this episode. and so I'm like scrambling to find the history of Art Bell. But I can tell you his cause of death is listed as drug overdose. But if you're in the conspiracy world, is it really a drug overdose? Was he suicided by the New World Order?
Or did the drugs get high on him?
I think he's probably still alive, but the drugs are dead.
Do you think he lives with Elvis?
I bet
up in
you
space.
Does.
Yeah.
Well, you know who the pallbearer was at his
Chris Christopherson.
It was not Chris Christopherson. It wasn't lizard people. Those were his enemies. No, it was Sasquatch.
Oh,
Sasquatch,
okay, I like that.
The Yeti, the skunk ape. They were all his pallbearers at his.
They're not the
funeral.
same thing.
No, God, no. Like Sasquatches live in. Well, they live all over the world, but generally they live in the northern areas of the United States.
Yes.
Skunk apes are kind of native to Florida and places like that. And the Yeti
sounds like a Florida thing.
It doesn't it though? That could just be your neighbor. We don't know. And the Yeti, he lives over in like the Himalayas. That's like his neighborhood. That's where he hangs out.
And so the Yeti and the abominable snowman are the same thing for sure, right?
Yes, they are. It's just different names. Different names for the same being.
So Yeti, Sasquatch, and skunk ape are different, but Yeti and abominable snowman are the same.
Yes.
What about the Bumble from the
He's a
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
He's a fictionalized version of the Yeti.
Okay. He's fictionalized as opposed to the other things. Got it.
What do they say that when they take an animal and they give it human traits? He's anthropomorphized.
Yes.
That's what the Bumble is.
Okay.
That's assuming you believe that the Yeti is real. And if you don't, you're wrong. But, it's the United States. We're allowed to have different opinions.
Okay, so which one of these creatures had an AM radio talk show?
None of them, but Art Bell talked about them quite a bit.
Okay.
I've learned quite a bit about Yetis and Bigfoots, Sasquatches from.
So that's the thing. So
like
while we're looking for the history, the premise of Coast to Coast AM was basically all of those things.
Oh yeah,
that you love to read and watch and listen about.
Like if you ever
the paranormal and the
like if you ever read the books like Behold a Pale Horse, which is totally ridiculous now that I look back on it. I remember reading it and going, "Whoa." There was Behold a Pale Horse, the Book of Lists, a lot of books by Jim Mars. Oh gosh, so a lot of this is I've read so much conspiracy theory stuff that it's like imagine I don't even. I found his. I'm going to stop right there with that. But I found the history. I was looking for it. But
Okay.
basically, what Coast to Coast AM was, it was a show about the occult, paranormal, UFOs, proto-science, pseudoscience, and what I like to call the reality that you didn't realize was going on. That
Right.
was Coast to Coast AM. But Art Bell, he started out as most greats do, as a rock music disc jockey before he moved to talk radio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, he was. It was in '78, and he was in Vegas, baby.
Wow.
Which kind of, when you think about it, it all starts to
makes
fit.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
a lot of weirdness happening there.
So
okay, so then he decided at some point that he was going to have people talk about the paranormal. It was in
1988.
Stuff.
They started broadcasting from the Plaza Hotel in Vegas. Well, they didn't. He started out as a political call-in show under the name West Coast AM.
Really?
Yeah, and that was in '78 on KWDN or KDWN, excuse me. But then in '88, Art and a man by the name of Alan Corberth renamed the show, Corberth, that's how you say it, renamed the show Coast to Coast AM and moved its broadcast. They moved it from the Plaza Hotel in Vegas to Bell's home in Pahrump. And yes, that's a real name of a place.
I know where that is. I've driven through there.
Oh, you have driven through there?
Oh, yeah. It exists, yeah.
So,
yep.
And that's when they changed the show's focus to things like the paranormal and UFOs and the occult. And he would have callers call in and they would tell all kinds of crazy stories about stuff going on.
The thing I liked about it was he was never judgmental. Like anything that someone said happened, he would be like, "Oh, wow." And he would ask questions. He was never like, "That's bullshit." You know what I mean? Like he was never cynical. He was open-minded about even the weirdest things that people would bring to him.
Yeah, he was, and that was one of the things that people would kind of get after him about, is he would not really challenge those folks that would come in with all this insanity. He would just kind of give them a space to talk about it.
But I think that makes for good radio. I think that's how you get those people to feel comfortable to say, okay, you know what? This guy is receptive to what I'm saying. I'm going to tell him about the fact that one day I woke up and all my spoons were glued to my forehead or whatever it might be. Like, because he'll listen.
I woke up next to myself, looking at myself sleeping.
Exactly. He would
and that self
actually
went to work while the other self slept.
Is that a real one?
And he'd be like, "Really, caller? Really?
Yeah.
So tell me more. How did it feel to watch yourself sleep while you were awake?"
Exactly.
But yeah.
And if one of you shaves, do all of you shave? Or could one of you grow a beard?
So if the sleeping you sneezes, do you sneeze? The answer is yes, of course. But
of course,
according to the Washington Post in 1997, he was America's highest rated late night radio talk show.
Oh, and I would totally believe it.
He was actually broadcast in 328 stations at that point in time.
Nice, which is huge for AM. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think most of the AM radio is, it's all kind of the same type of thing. But back then, there wasn't a lot of super big AM show, like programming that you could tune into as far as like nationwide. It was much more local, I think.
Yep. And for a period of time, he was one of the only talk shows that did not screen incoming calls. That changed in 2006. He did start screening then, but I can't remember why. Oh, here's the explanation. Give that for him to use. Thanks, computer, for just shutting your screen down in the middle of when I want to read something. The explanation that was giving is to use unscreened open phone lines while in the Philippines. Oh, he must have been in the Philippines? I don't know. I'm not reading. I just know he changed at that point in time.
Yeah.
But it's,
so then
that goes back to that thing, like you were saying, that he would just give people an open place to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And it kind of made, because at least for me, I'm driving down the middle of the woods in Upper Michigan. There's nothing around, barely any lights, street lights or anything. It's just my headlights and probably snow. And there were many times when I was like, there's probably a UFO above me right now. Like, you just start listening, dude, and you're like, I believe this now.
I saw some crazy shit driving back from Marquette to the Saginaw area in the middle of the night.
But again, I think that it's the mood that is set.
Yeah, you're right there.
It makes you susceptible to crazy. I mean, to different.
We don't like to call ourselves crazy, Matt. We like to call everybody else crazy.
I just like to call you crazy.
From one of the other shows that I'm a big listener to now, Stuff They Don't Want You to Know.
Yeah.
We're not called conspiracy theorists anymore. We're called conspiracy realists.
Oh, boy.
Except,
all right,
I still stand on, and this, I think this would go along with a lot of people who came up listening to a guy like Art Bell. Right now, if you're listening late at night, it's now Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, who was Bell's, he would sub for Art Bell. Art Bell passed away a few years ago.
Or did he?
Or did he, of course.
Yeah.
But now it's George Norrie. It's the same thing. It's the same show. George has similar people on.
I like George Norrie. I liked him.
I still listen to him from time to time. I mean, Art Bell, his show was so popular. He actually interviewed people like Crystal Gale, Willie Nelson, George Carlin.
Wow.
Dean Koontz.
Interesting.
Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay. All right. That tracks, definitely.
Casey Kasem was on his show.
Really?
Yeah. Joe Rogan, which makes sense if you've listened to any of Joe Rogan's podcasts. He would totally fit in with Art Bell.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes, I agree.
Like some SETI astronomers. I can't say this guy's name, but if you saw him, you would know who he is. He's a physicist. And I want to say it's like Michio Kaku, I think is how you say it.
Oh, Michio Kaku.
Yes, thank you. You're much more worldly.
I have one of his books, I think.
Oh, really?
Not in this room, but I do somewhere.
So you read books by physicists? Did you ever read A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking?
Yes.
I've read that book 6 times, dude.
Have you really? Wow.
Yeah. I can't remember anything from it, but I've read it 6 times.
That's cool.
When I used to work late nights at Avis Rent-A-Car. Oh man, nice. I think I read the book twice just working late nights.
I've read Dianetics, so I think it's more just that a book was placed in front of me and I was like,
I think we have to end this show now that I know that you've read Dianetics. You don't follow it, thank God, so we're good.
No. But if you do, the more power to you. No judgment.
But I mean, to get back to Art Bell, he was just, anybody who ever listened to him, I don't know anybody who didn't like him when they heard him.
Yeah.
They may have not have liked that they were up, at between 1 and 5 in the morning listening to the radio, but he was definitely entertaining. His stuff on the paranormal, and I've always been a person who has been susceptible to the paranormal and things like that. And I just find it completely interesting because I want it to be real. I'm not going to lie. I would love if all that stuff was real. It would make the world a much more interesting place. And listening to a guy like Art Bell made the world a much more interesting place for me, especially in those hours of the day.
Well said. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why I listen too, is because like, even if you are a skeptic, even if you don't necessarily believe what the callers are saying, it was compelling radio, and it made you think, well, this is interesting to just get a glimpse into different people's experiences. And even if it's purely from a psychological or a sociological standpoint, like this person had this experience, and this entire study has developed because of multiple people who have had these shared experiences. And whether it's BS or whether it's true, it's just fascinating that this, thing, this exists, that there are people who have, done research papers, and there are people who have devoted their entire lives to either proving or disproving paranormal things. Like that to me is what's I think, more fascinating on whether 100% if it's true or not. It's just really compelling to listen to.
It's he just gave it a spot where it was cool and fun to talk about those things that you can neither prove nor disprove. No matter how hard you try, they're there. They always will be in one way, shape, or form. Doesn't matter the decade that you're in. They might morph a little bit depending on what's going on in the culture, but he gave the world a space to talk about that stuff. And I loved it. I consider him, he was one of the, like when we talked about Bruce Williams and we talked about A Prairie Home Companion and we talked about all of these people who worked in radio. In the old days, I like to say, before everything was a political radio show,
right? Yeah,
they were just there, and they were giving people spaces to talk, and they were giving you ideas and things to think about, whether you believed it or not. But they were just out there talking with people, having conversations.
But that's like podcasts now. Like that's a really good juxtaposition, because back then you had radio, and so you didn't have internet or things like that. And so radio was the only way that people could find each other and communicate with each other about those sorts of niche or weird or off the norm types of topics. And now, what the hell? You look at all the podcasts that exist. Like, I'm on Twitter, and I have a bunch of people that I know on Twitter now who are podcasters, and some of the subjects are so specific. Like, they do episode after episode after episode of, like, I don't know, the Golden Girls TV show, and that's all that they talk about every time.
Like,
and
fake doctors, real friends.
Oh yeah, well, that one I love, and it's a great example because it's the guys from Scrubs, and they just are real friends, and they talk about each episode. They talk about an episode of Scrubs, like they rewatch it and they discuss it, and sometimes they have on one of the people who are on the show, but they almost don't really discuss the show that much. They just kind of riff off of things that happen, and then they go off on tangents, much like we do. But
you know anybody like that?
I don't, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, now you can find all of those very particular. If you are into, the old G.I. Joe cartoon, well, you know what? I guarantee you there's a podcast that just talks about the old G.I. Joe cartoon. You can find your people.
If there's not, we need to start one.
Yeah. I'll have to brush up a little. It's been a while since I watched it, but
yeah, if it's not like Gung Ho or Roadblock or Snake Eyes or Storm Shadow, you kind of lost me.
Or Junkyard Dog. Yeah. I mean, that's
Junkyard Dog is not, he's not a
He's not?
Joe. No. There's a guy named Junkyard. And he had a dog.
What's the dog's name? Dog.
G.I. Joe dog. I don't know. I guess we would have a pretty bad G.I. Joe podcast.
Yeah, the first episode cannot be about that dog because we are not prepared at all.
So just to wrap up the whole thing on Art Bell and Coast to Coast AM, and I'm going to be completely honest. I'm very disappointed in myself because 25 years ago when we did the first part of this episode, I had all kinds of stuff on Art Bell and Coast to Coast AM. And I don't know what I did with it.
Do you know if he was a drug addict? Like, was he on drugs for a long time, or was it just like
what they say, like, according to the internet, where everything is the truth and nothing is a lie. Let me see. I had it marked here. Just give me a second. He had suffered from health problems for a few years. He was hospitalized for pneumonia at one point in time. And it was looking
pneumonia,
like,
or was it air quotes pneumonia?
Well, there's no air quotes on there. So
okay.
They say that he died of an accidental overdose from a cocktail of prescription drugs, which that just screams somebody from the New World Order had him killed.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was exposing the truths that are out there. I wonder what a guy like Art Bell would think of all of the insanity that is QAnon.
Right. Because would he let them be on his show?
I think he would. I honestly think he would.
Because I think now it's controversial to even give them a platform.
Yeah, I think he would argue with them a little bit, because he'd be like, all right, he would give them a history lesson of where a lot of this bullshit came from.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, you want to talk about that? Well, in 1975, they were talking about that, but it was called this.
Yeah.
And see, as you can see over the years, and he would probably break it down like that, or he would have somebody on the other side going, guys, now listen,
Right.
stop it.
Yeah.
That's why
mean,
I haven't, as much as I love, conspiracy realism, I haven't been able to go down that rabbit hole because I just read the stuff and I'm like, what is this? This is all New World Order stuff rehashed all over again for today's date and time. It's all it is.
But exactly. But there is a cover for every pot.
There is. So I guess I personally don't think that he would have been down with it. I think he would have gave it a space to talk about, but I don't think he would have let his show turn into it. If that makes sense. I think
that there are, without getting political, I think that there are things that QAnon believes that, while I 100% don't agree with, they're fascinating to find. I would love to know how somebody made some of the theories, like what, because it makes me think, like, if I just decided to say that Chris Christopherson was a lizard person, obviously that already exists.
Decide to say that at one
point. He is a lizard person, but if I was the first person to say it, how does that catch fire? Like, how does something gain traction when it's
crazy? And where does it come from?
Yeah.
Like, why would you make that?
I know. And yeah, exactly. It's weird. It's very weird. But anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
The other show I wanted to talk about was the epitome. It was the show of the brief moment in time when I was into CHR pop music. It was Open House Party with John Garabedian.
Just to let everybody know, this is the reason we're doing this podcast. I mean, not the whole podcast, but this particular one, because Matt wanted to talk about Open House Party.
So and basically, I know we've already gone long, so I'm going to truncate a little bit. But John Garabedian was this guy. He was a kid, like 16, 17 years old, and he wanted to be on the radio. He talked to this station owner and was like, hey, I have this idea for this show. It's going to be like a party. We're going to have people come in, live music, but we'll play all the current hits and we'll just have a big party. It'll be party music. I'll be in the party when it's happening. We'll invite people in. It'll be amazing.
Some might say I'll be the master of ceremonies of this party.
Exactly. And for some reason, the radio station guy was like, yes.
I'm going to lose my job anyways, so fuck it, kid. Let's do it.
This sounds like nothing can go wrong. So he said, go find a studio. Go find studio space, and I will rent it. So John Garabedian says, all right, I'll look around. He starts looking around. He's in, where is he? Minnesota? No, not Minnesota. Somewhere in the Midwest, I think.
Hold on, John Garabedian. I'll look for that. Keep going.
Yeah. So he says, okay, I'm going to find the perfect place. Looks around, says, you know what? Fuck it. We'll do it in my basement. So studio radio guy says, that sounds perfect. Again, I just want to know. I want to work for that guy. He's probably dead, but I want to work for that guy. So somebody says to you, hey, owner of this station, I want to do a radio show with a bunch of people, hundreds of people in the room with me, and I want to do it in my basement. Will you pay for that to happen? And that guy says, yes. Right away, you know that this is going to be amazing.
Yeah. So fun fact about it, they strapped a 50-foot pole to his chimney to hold up a little microwave antenna aimed at the Prudential Tower 24 miles away in downtown Boston. Because he was they were in like Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm sure I said that wrong, but yeah, that's where they were at.
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester, yes.
So he does this. So he has a show, and he goes on the air with the all cool, all request open house party. And that's how they opened every show. And it was all request. It was it was very cool. Like you could hear people partying in the background whenever he would go live on air, and he would play basically all the hits that the kids, at the time I was one of them, listened to, and it was so fun. It was ridiculous. He sometimes had to yell because he had to yell over the crowd that was in the basement with him. And he would have like huge stars on. People would come to his basement. He had amazing, like, current celebrity artists who were, touting their current single or whatever. And he would have them in talking about their music. But it was fun. And it was never really long form interviews. It was just like, hey, you're here. What's your new song? Oh, it's called this. We love touring. All right, see ya. And then it was back to music. And it would just play music for, I don't know, it was like a 4-hour show or something. I can't remember, but it was amazing. And it was super fun as a kid. I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 when I was listening to it, maybe 14. And I listened to it every Saturday and Sunday. I think it was on Saturdays and Sundays every weekend. And I listened to both shows, and it was amazing. And you listened to it, right? When you were younger?
I remember listening to it. It was on, I want to say Saturday nights.
Yeah.
I want to say sometimes it was tape delayed to Sunday. Maybe it was live Sunday. I'm not sure. But I do remember listening to it when I wasn't listening to the rock station of the local area.
All right.
I would
still have your rock and roll cred.
Yeah. I would listen to Open House Party with John Garbadians. And for the longest time, I thought it was all fake. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was all tracked. I thought it was fake.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I think that at some point they had a separate room away from the party, but it was still in his basement, I think, for most of the run. Like, it was in his house. I think they upgraded the equipment, so it wasn't just like an antenna, but it was a really fun show. And the fact that he got to do that, like a kid, and he started, I think, when he was like 18 or something. He was young, and he did it until he was like 50
2004, I want to say, was when he called it a day.
Yeah, and he handed the show off, which was amazing. And I actually saw.
No, it was 2016.
I saw the episode on YouTube that he handed the torch over to this dude named Cannon, and he was this DJ, typical CHR DJ, but he told the story. Cannon told the story on the air that when he was 14, 15, he was listening to Open House Party with John Garabedian and said, one day I'm going to host that show. And he totally did. And that fucking rules, because he was just like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And sure enough, he absolutely did it. And he basically can die tomorrow if he wants to, because he has completed his entire life goals. And he's like in his, I don't know, 40s. He's not even old. It's amazing. So they used to do this. They had the different segments, and just off the top of my head, I know they always used to do this segment called the Purple Chamber of Gold. And I don't know why they called it that, but he would always say, it's time for the Purple Chamber of Gold. And then they would play like usually a throwback song, like something from the 80s or whatever. And that was cool too, because it was music that I at least had heard of. Sometimes it was a rare song, but it was cool because you're playing all these current pop hits, and then you get like this weird song thrown in that was just, I don't know, someone would request it or he just felt like playing it. But my favorite part at the end, towards the end of the night, is he would do Long Distance Nighty Nights. Yeah, I know it sounds cheesy, but when you're 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, and your hormones are doing what hormones do, and maybe 15, 16, I don't know. I called that so many times. Like, I know for a fact I did Long Distance Nighty Nights for at least, I don't know, 4 people. And one time I actually heard myself on the air. What's
up, player? 4 different people?
Well,
That's what, 14, 15, 13.
I mean, it was several years. It was a long period of time.
Right. It was just once a week. I can't. You don't have to hide it anymore. We're older now. It's cool.
But that was like the thing. That was like, okay, now this girl will totally dig me because I mentioned her name on Open House Party. And I thought in my head, I thought every single person in the world, at least every single person in my city, was tuning
Listen to
in
this.
to hear if I would say goodnight to somebody and then it would change their world and thus change my world. And then,
And then you'd ride off into the
Yeah.
sunset on a riding lawnmower, just like
it never
Patrick
happened.
Dempsey.
It never happened, but it was the coolest thought in my head. Like it was like, sorry, I have a little frog in my throat, but it was like having, it was like going to the top of a mountain and lighting a torch and screaming at the top of your lungs, "Hey, pretty girl, you want to be my girl?" Like it was that sort of
thing.
Epic thing when you're that young of a kid. That was everything. And because I was super into radio, I just assumed everyone was super into radio and they would all be tuned in. And no, nobody ever cared. And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know if you noticed, I called in a long distance 992," and most of the time it'd be like, "What?
Nothing. Get away from me."
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't get away from me. Sometimes it was, but sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was just, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's move on.
Did you know in sad news, you heard it here first on X Radio X, that in May 2020, the Purple Chamber was dumped on both Saturday and Sunday nights in favor of current-based final hour of programming.
Whatever.
I mean, it was the first 40 to 45 minutes of the final hour, and they would play like you said, throwbacks in recurrence. If you're in the radio biz, you know what that is,
which is barely throwback.
Yeah, it's like this was popular 6 months ago to 2 years ago, maybe a few years ago.
Exactly. Well, that's a bummer. It was a nonsensical name, and I tried to find why he came up with the name Purple Chamber of Gold. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe that's where the lady who wrote those really terrible smut books that were popular a couple, maybe 5 to 10 years ago. It was called The Red Room. Maybe she got it from the Purple Chamber of Gold. I doubt it, but I figured I'd just do that.
It does sound like a song title that Prince would have written for Vanity 6, though. Like Sugar Walls, Purple Chamber of Gold, something like that.
Were they called Vanity 6? I just thought they were called Vanity.
Well, she was called Vanity, and the band was called Vanity 6. And did you know what he tried to call her?
I'm afraid to ask, but no. What did he try to call her?
Before they came up with Vanity, they were going to call her Vagina. Emphasis on Gina, like Gina, like
damn Gina.
Exactly, but it was going to be VA, capital Gina, Vagina, and I don't know why cooler heads prevailed and they went with Vanity.
I think that it was probably good that cooler head prevailed on that one.
She
probably went, huge. All right, dude. Nobody wants to be a huge vagina. That is on nobody's list of to do. So
well, that's going to be our next promo.
Yeah. Thankfully, I mean, Prince was a genius, but even every genius has a bomb every once in a while, and I think
he was
I'm glad they went with Vanity.
I agree.
On my list of to-do things today, I want to become the biggest at playing guitar, the biggest at playing this, and since they named me Vagina, I want to be the biggest vagina to ever live. God, that's. I hope they wrote that down. And was like,
I'm glad she was open and receptive to the name. I mean, she.
Can you imagine that meeting? I hear what you're saying, Prince. Your Purple Majesty. We're here in your Purple Chamber of Gold, where everything is a gold hit. But I'm fairly certain that calling me Vagina is not going to really work out in the long run.
I mean, in print, we would be killed in print. That's the problem.
So I want you to
written
write
word.
That
there's
down.
No tone. There's no context. It's just letters on a page.
Prince and all of Prince handlers, I want you to get out a piece of paper and write that down and tell me that looks like something you never mind. You would want to buy that at a record store. I'm asking the wrong people. You came
He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He still probably from time to time would say, they should have went with my name. They should have went with
Could you see it now? He's just like, he'd look at his buddies and be like, remember when I tried to talk that girl? Calling herself Vagina? She almost went for it.
She almost
I'm
went for it.
Prince.
She was so close.
Because I'm Prince. But, that's why we kept her on, because she was smart enough to go, nah. She totally dogged me on that one. We're out.
Yeah.
But
it's too bad. They had hit after hit. Vanity 6 did.
Nobody wants. Never mind. We're not going there. Let's move on. We're going to keep talking about open. I do remember listening to Open House Party, though. It was
great.
It was the young people's version of Solid Gold Saturday Night.
Yes, that's true. It was.
My parents made me listen to all the time.
Really?
And I feel like I kind of do that to my kids now, except my Solid Gold Saturday Night is, hey, Alexa, play this.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Then they have to sit and listen to whatever it is I said.
Yeah.
So, but Open House Party. And I can tell I could have guessed without you ever telling me that this was a big influence on what you thought you wanted your radio career to be, because I worked with you and Jeff on All Request Saturday Night.
That's true.
And that was the whole idea behind All Request Saturday Night was, although we were on a college station, and, college stations, we're supposed to play stuff that's left of the dial, as the replacement said. But for those few hours on a Saturday night, everything was fair game.
Yeah, exactly.
If you guys,
if you were partying, it was fun.
If you were partying, and we would have people calling, this was back when people still cared or would listen at that point. Now they would just put on a mix on their whatever phone or whatever they're using, but they would call. People would come to the station and hang out. I remember.
Right. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a blast.
Yeah, we'd have frat parties, we'd have high school parties, we'd have, just people who were getting off of work or whatever. And, and they would call and request songs, and we would do our damnedest to play them. And I would say more times than not, they would get played.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think the idea was that it created that sense of we're all listening to the same thing. It's a shared experience. Yeah. We're all probably not partying. I was just sitting in my room when I was a kid listening to it, but it felt like I was almost at that party with all those people having fun and listening to. It was that brief moment in my musical life where I listened to just pop music, whatever was popular on the radio. I was listening to, Tone Loc and Whitney Houston and whatever was on, like all these artists that now I'd be like, I mean, Tone Loc's all right, but still, it was.
Come on, you want to dance with somebody?
It was pre-indie music.
You want to dance with somebody who loves you?
It was pre-indie rock and post like Motown. I think was that little sweet spot where I was like, I'm going to listen to just current hit radio. And Open House Party was there for me with open arms to say, come on into my purple chamber of gold. Vagina. Hey,
did you know that the original 1988 Nighty Nights song was Two Occasions by the Dealey?
Oh, absolutely. I know. And they used to loop it.
And that song was on my Quiet Storm list.
Mine too. Yeah, they used to loop it, and it lasted a long time. Like they would play the opening instrumental and then loop until everyone got their nighty nights out, and then they would play the song afterwards. But it was a really long loop. I mean, it felt like it was 5 minutes long of instrumental until everyone said goodnight to everybody that they loved, sometimes including me. And then right after they would do that song. Oh man, loved that song. I think they changed it, but that was for a long time. That was the song for that. And you would always, they have changed it.
Did you know that in that group, the Dealey, I don't know if it was the Dealey or it's the Deal, pronounced the Deal. I'm just not hip to the streets of the early 80s. Two very, very important producers and artists were in that group.
Yes.
There may have been other ones, but there's two that stand out big time.
I know one was he lives on Babyface Nelson Road. Wait.
I don't think it's Babyface Nelson. Let's be respectful now to Kenny Babyface Edmonds.
That's what I meant. The Kenny Babyface Edmonds Freeway. Yeah. I know Babyface. Well, who was the other one?
Antonio L.A. Reid.
Oh, that's right.
They were from Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Believe that.
Wow.
The other guys in that group were Carlos Satin Green, Darnell D.
Not
Bristol.
Carlos Santana?
No. And Stanley Stick Burke. That was back in the day. You had to have like a name. You had to have and apparently Stick was a cool name.
Oh.
So
he's probably really heavy set.
I was going to say he's tall and skinny. They couldn't call him, and he had to be Stick.
Exactly.
But yeah, right now, I want to say, according to my information, they use songs like Ed Sheeran's "Thinking Out Loud."
Oh, okay.
"Just the Way You Are" by Bruno Mars.
Okay.
"Heaven," the Candlelight Mix by DJ Sammy.
No idea.
But the only one that really counts is "Two Occasions" by The Deal.
Oh yeah, that was classic. Classic. John Garabedian had good taste. I mean, for CHR radio music.
Well, and I know how you say that was a period of time where you listened to CHR radio, and even being the big metalhead that I turned into, and then into the punk and the indie and all of the things that I listened to past it, I still listen to CHR radio. I still love a good pop song. There's such a craft behind it. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, that's so easy to write." Well, if it was so damn easy to write, what are you doing sitting here telling me about it? Go write it. Write a pop song. Write 3 minutes that people are going to sing over and over for 20 to 30 years. Yeah, if it's so easy, wouldn't we all do it?
Exactly. I don't hate the player. I just hate the game.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Open House Party, that was a good one. That was one I listened to quite a bit. And like I said, it was the young version of Solid Gold Saturday Night, which was on the oldies station in town every Saturday night. And back then, the oldies were pretty much Motown.
Exactly.
It was like Motown, some early 70s stuff. It was, because this would have been the mid 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s. So oldies then was Motown, some stuff from the 50s, maybe some 70s stuff, some disco thrown in, some Eagles here and there.
British
Seals
Invasion.
and Croft, British Invasion, the Beatles. Oh my gosh, the Beatles were everywhere and that stuff. But I couldn't tell you who the host was for that. But I just remember, I don't remember the numbers, but their jingle was their call-in line. It was like, I don't even know the numbers, but they sang the call-in numbers so you would know what to call in. Now would people even know to, like, if you gave them your request line, they'd be like, how do I text an 800 number?
800-588-2300.
Empire. Those commercials are still on, dude. I know you don't live around here anymore, but those commercials are still on.
Are they really?
Yeah, same number,
so
man.
That wasn't Solid Gold Saturday Night jingle.
No, that was Empire Carpets in the Greater Flint area. There it is. If you search up this Solid Gold Saturday Night jingle, it's nowhere to be found. Awesome.
Oh.
Thanks, Internet.
Well, Google it. If you're listening, Google that and you can hear it. It was really catchy. So we had one more show to talk about, didn't we? You wanted to talk about one.
I had two more, but I don't know. I know the one I should talk about because in the world of talk radio, historically, it is more important, and it's Car Talk with Tom and Ray Magliozzi. I think that's how you said their last name. Click and Clack. That's what everybody knew them. The Tappet Brothers.
Right? Used to listen to that all the time. So now, I mean, when you get into NPR, there are a lot of stations or a lot of shows that I used to tune into because I just ended up listening to NPR a lot. But those guys were really funny and very, very smart. And they talked about cars and how to repair and things that were wrong and how to fix things yourself or when you should take it to a mechanic. And that was they provided a really good service and they did it in a really funny way. Yeah.
And they were one of those NPR shows that even if you didn't listen to NPR, they were very much like Prairie Home Companion.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you didn't listen to NPR, you knew what Car Talk was. You knew who Click and Clack were. You had heard them somewhere. and you probably enjoyed what you heard. Even if you were the staunchest anti-NPR person, you would listen and be like, "Oh, I like these guys. They're entertaining."
Yeah, and they gave really good advice. And they also did something similar to Prairie Home Companion in that at the end of the show, they had a bunch of made-up sponsors and made-up people who were supposedly running the show.
Oh, that's what I'm looking for right now.
Funny pun names, and they were never real people, but they created this sort of, again, theater of the mind, but they would have all of these fake sponsors and fake people who were helping make the show just to be funny and just to say, we're not taking this that seriously. We will give you real advice, but the program itself, we're going to goof off and we're going to make jokes and it's going to be entertaining while we're still telling you. Because if you just had a show where all you did was tell people, well, you need to take that in to get fixed, or you should probably tighten that bolt. Like, okay, you're getting a service, but it's not interesting. The only people that are going to listen are the people who have a problem with their car. But I would listen when I didn't have any problem with my car. It was just fun, and they knew
they were
that
entertaining.
they had to do more. Yeah, they had to do more than just give advice to make people want to listen regardless of what they were talking about. And that, I think, is something that takes talent.
It was. And I remember listening to all the time. And they were kind of, like you said, they were famous for their fake names, their puns. But what I always remember most about their program was they would end with, "Don't drive like my brother," to which the other brother replied, "And don't drive like my brother."
Yeah. Yep. I remember that.
And they would always say things like us. Where is it at? When they would go to break, they would say things like, "And even though Roger Clemens stabs his radio with a syringe, whenever he hears us say it, this is NPR, National Public Radio."
Yeah, I know. They were able to make fun of themselves. And I think that made it really entertaining to listen to. And then every once in a while, even if you weren't calling to get your car fixed, you would still learn stuff about, I definitely learned stuff about my car that when something went wrong, I would say, you know what, the Tappet brothers suggested I do this. And I wasn't listening for the tips. I just was listening because it was entertaining, but I absorbed those as well, which was cool.
And they actually had a tie to popular culture in the early 2000s. Even my son knows who Tom and Ray or Click and Clack are because they were Rusty and Dusty Rusties in the Cars movie. Lightning McQueen sponsors.
Wow.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Holy moly. When did that come out? Because one of them passed away, but I guess it was just before that.
Yeah, one of them did pass away. I want to say, I don't remember which one.
Yeah, but they obviously recorded the movie before that.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Well, that's cool.
I don't have that part in my notes. Well, I only wanted to talk about Art Bell being possibly dead. I didn't want to talk about these guys, actually being dead. That's such a downer, Matt. Why would you even bring that up?
I know. Sorry. So let's just talk about, of all the shows that we discussed, how many of the people are dead? It's a nice way to wrap up.
Nah, just the medium that they got famous for is.
Exactly.
So I'm going to end mine, and I don't have quite the part to go on like you did about Open House Party with John Garabedians. And I'm going to use two people. One is actually local and one is national, and the lead singer of a very famous 80s heavy metal band. But the one radio show, it is still on to this day, and I still listen to it on Saturday nights when I'm not recording with you, because that's generally when we record these folks, is Saturday nights.
Right.
Is I listen to The House of Hair with Dee Snider.
Yeah. I think I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's very entertaining online. Did you know he was the voice of, it was MSNBC. He was the voice of MSNBC for a while. What? Just like Darth Vader was the voice of This Is CNN.
He was the voice of MSNBC?
For a period of time. I don't think he is anymore.
Wow.
We could fact check that on the internet, but why ruin a good story?
Right. No, I like it. I'm going to go with it.
But yeah, he was also the lead singer of course, Twisted Sister.
Yep, definitely.
Which is
awesome.
one of my favorite 80s I wouldn't really call them a hair metal band. They were not like actually heavy metal, but they weren't just rock and roll. They were kind of somewhere in the middle, and they just looked ridiculous, which
Yes, they
made
did.
them that much more awesome to
I
watch
agree. Yeah.
and follow and everything. But yeah, he is the host of the House of Hair, and their tagline is, "If it ain't metal, it's crap," which I actually have the t-shirt that says that on the back. And if you look
Nice.
hard on the internet, there's a picture of me wearing that shirt eating a continental breakfast at a hotel in Texas.
Wow.
It's out there. Yep. I know that's very specific. You have to try to find, but it's
also
out there.
seems impossible to find. I don't know if I would Google continental breakfast or if I would Google House of Hair. How would I start that?
Good luck. It's your hunt for good luck trying to find it.
If any of you listeners find that picture and send it to me on Twitter, you'll win a prize.
It'll be a crappy prize, but you'll win something.
It'll be
I was just trying to figure out, like, the House of Hair has been on since, I want to say the late 90s.
Okay.
I just can't. I had the history at one point in time, but of course, like with everything else I did, I lost it in the 25 years from the first time we did this till when we finished it up tonight.
There's quite a few. I don't want to use the term former rock and roll stars because a lot of them still are performing a lot, but there are a lot of 70s and 80s artists who have gone on to do radio shows. Like that is the new radio celebrity is now the not former rock and roll star as radio DJ.
Yep.
Have you noticed that?
There's Alice Cooper does Nights with Alice
Cooper does a really good one.
His is really good. Tommy
Little Steven
Garage.
from Bruce Springsteen.
Yep, Steven Van Zandt.
He does one.
Not Tommy Lee, but Nikki Sixx does one.
Yep, I used to listen to Nikki Sixx's show when I lived in Virginia. I don't remember what station, but he had a good show.
Yeah, he does a pretty entertaining one. Ricky Ratman, who was Headbangers Ball. He also co-owned the Cat House in L.A. back in the day with, I think, him and Tammy Down from Faster Pussycat owned it together. I might not have that right, so don't fillet me out there. But
I just like that name.
Yeah, he was, of course, he was the host of Headbangers Ball, and now he does a radio program called NASCAR Rocks.
Right.
Which, his is okay, but you can tell it's totally just a voice track deal. Or at
Danny
least,
Bonaducci, he was on radio for a while. I don't think he is anymore.
Was he a rock star ever? Really?
Well, wasn't he in the Partridge Family?
You're playing fast and loose with the term rock star now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I used air quotes for rock star, but he was a former artist, performer.
There was another person in that that group that was much more famous than him.
All of them, I think.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth did a radio show for a while.
So did Ted Nugent, believe it or not. And I remember it was actually decent. It was before he totally went off his rocker. But he did one in the 90s. There was, who was I just thinking of? There's basically what we're getting at is a lot of rock stars turned into radio hosts because it's really it's almost a straight line from I used to do this to now I can do this.
That's true.
And a lot of the folks that they would
they've dumbed it down a little, and no disrespect to them, but I think that they have a board op doing a lot of the things, and they're just maybe picking the music and talking about it.
Yeah,
which is the fun part.
I would like to think though that Dee Snider actually does a lot of his own stuff. He's been doing it. I found it. Yeah, he's been doing it since '97.
I'm going to ask him on
weekly
Twitter.
show in over 200 markets. So he's got a pretty big. I would say if I was going to pick the former rock star turned radio host, who's probably doing the most successful shows. House of Hair is very successful. It's been on the air for quite a while. And Nights with Alice Cooper. I used to specifically listen to that one while I would be working in the evening or stuff, because Alice Cooper always told, you could tell he was there. And it's, he would tell stories from being there throughout the 70s, early 80s. And you could tell what he was telling you was legit. Some of the other ones.
And he's been doing it for a while too.
Yeah. But there was, those are the two. But I listen to House of Hair to this day still listen to it.
Nice.
And I thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoy it so much I have the t-shirt. So
That tells you. I mean, that's a meme, right?
Yeah, I did
like
it.
So much I bought
did.
the t-shirt.
I did also say that there was a local tie to this. It's not that they know each other, but it was before I would listen to the House of Hair. There was a guy in the Saginaw area. You probably heard of him in Flint, maybe not. He was called the Captain, and he was on Saturday nights on Z93.
Yes, I remember that. He had kind of a weird voice
with the Captain. I used to be able to do it. I don't know if I could still do his voice anymore, because he made famous the Captain here on Z93 or something like that. Now I just sound like an old man from Jersey or something. but no, he would say, "I'm out here looking for some lusty, busty sea wenches."
Yes, I do remember that.
And
yeah,
I remember I was working at a local big boy back in the day. Was doing bus and dish, and one of the waitresses recognized his voice and put on his bill when she gave it to him and whoever else was at the table with him, and she signed it from, I forget her name, the Lusty Busty Sea Wench.
Nice. That's classy.
Yeah. So that was,
and they were married next year.
No, they did not get married the next year. He actually got sued by a local strip club or something like that. I don't think that's slander, because I never mentioned his real name, but he did get in some sort of trouble. He's no longer on the air in the greater Saginaw area. He's
it's too bad. I remember him.
Yeah, he was huge locally in it would have been the late 80s through the early 90s.
Yeah,
but I
remember that.
Before I started listening to the House of Hair, I was listening to the Captain on Z93. That was like, I wanted to be that type of disc jockey back in the day. And actually, that was where I started listening to another very famous radio show duo. I didn't know who they were at the time, but he was spinning the comedy cuts from the Bob and Tom show on his program, like the Dry Martinez Band and things like that. And all of the songs, when I discovered who the Bob and Tom show was, I was like, hold on a second.
I've heard this. Yeah, exactly.
I've heard these somewhere before. And I realized it was, the Captain was using Bob and Tom stuff. I mean, it was on, tapes and CDs, so why not? But it was kind of a little cross pollination there. And you want to talk about another successful radio duo, Bob and Tom, out of Indianapolis. That's where their headquarters was. And actually they met each other working in Michigan, for anybody who's keeping score out there. So we kind of went all over.
Fact.
We went all over the map on that one there. I started talking about Dee Snider and the House of Hair, ended up on the Captain here in Saginaw, and then landed on the Bob and Tom show out of Indianapolis.
It was seamless. It made perfect sense at the time.
Anybody
it's not
who's
something you could write down, but it makes sense.
Anybody who's listened to active rock radio has probably listened, especially if you lived in this area, has listened to all three of those. Yeah. Maybe in the same day.
I would say that's true. Definitely. So we covered a lot of ground today. Like we went through, like, even though it was actually over the course of 25 years, to the listener, 1 hour and hour and a half of solid radio show tutorial from both of our life history, basically. And I know that there are a lot of people, because a lot of these were syndicated, I know there's a lot of people listening who are going to say, oh yeah, I totally used to listen to that. And I've heard of this. And now I'm going to start listening to Coast AM, because, again, getting back to Twitter, there are people who have podcasts who talk about, like, all the paranormal stuff and all the freaky deaky things that happen in the dark when nobody's watching. And they do podcasts about it. And I'm wondering now, if they've ever even listened to that, they might really get a lot of good data and good research from listening to Coast AM. So if you're one of those people, Twitter, check it out. It's still on the actual radio. It's that box that's probably in your parents' garage.
Collecting dust on your dad's workbench.
Yeah. There may be a mouse living in the tape deck. Don't worry about the tape deck part. Leave the mouse in there. Just put some fresh batteries in the back tune it into an AM station until you hear some creepy music and people talking about weird stuff, and you might learn something.
Yeah.
It's Coast to Coast AM. Yeah. So what have you been listening to, buddy?
Oh, man. So much in the last 25 years since we last spoke.
I think you
Now,
need to go
this-
first because I have a slight rant that I need to get into, and I want you to be able to tell me what you've been listening to, because I always like to research the stuff that you mentioned.
Well, what I have been listening to, and it kind of goes along with something I'm about to try to do again.
Ooh.
It's been many, many years since I've done this,
Okay.
but I'm going to try doing it again, is another friend of mine. His name happens to be Matt also.
Yeah.
Um,
Your buddy, Matt.
my buddy Matt. It's funny when I talk to him, I say my buddy Matt, and I'm talking about
you
you.
do.
When I talk to you, I say my buddy Matt, and I'm talking about him. Just
Oh.
like when I would talk about my oldest friend Kyle, I'd say my buddy
Your buddy
Kyle.
Kyle.
Like
Yep.
for the longest time, you're like, is that his name, my buddy Kyle? I said, yes. He's like a little doll you buy at the store called my buddy Kyle.
He's got a striped shirt and overalls. I know
Yeah.
that.
And when you pull the string on his back, he tells you about fly fishing. Yeah, that's my buddy Kyle. Anyways, back to my buddy Matt. We started talking, and we used to be in a band together. Long, long time ago. Garage band.
Oh, boy.
Called Joker's Crossing. Yeah. We wrote a bunch of
Please tell
stuff.
me.
Well, I should say he wrote a bunch of stuff. I played along with him because I'm not much of a writer when it comes to that. And so we had all of these songs. And then, we did some things. I went to college. A fellow by the name of Steve took over my spot. I played drums. Another guy named Jason played bass. And no, he's cool. You don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's a great
Sorry,
guy.
Steve.
I still hang out with him. Don't call him that. He might listen to this.
Sorry, Steve. You're a good guy.
You're a good guy. And the guy who played bass in them, his name was also Jason, but he went on to do some other things. I think he lives in St. Louis now or something like that. Not the town, the actual city of St. Louis that has the arch and all that stuff.
Sure.
But we got to talking, and we
Home
said,
of the world's tallest man.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Sorry. Continue.
We got to talking, and we're like, we wrote some fun songs back in the day. Well, we thought they were fun, but they never.
Yeah.
We were young enough that they really never got to be played in front of a proper amount of people.
OMG.
So he's like, well, Steve's around. And he's still, they play in a band together, and Steve plays drums and Matt plays guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you guys heard that, my daughter just came and said goodnight to the entire podcast world. So good night, honey, from all of us.
Good night. I didn't hear it, but now I know.
But now you know. My daughter's going to bed, in case you're wondering. But so basically, to make a long story longer, he says, well, we don't have a bass player anymore, but Steve still plays drums, so I'm going to pick up a bass.
What?
And yeah, we're going to try to play these songs. But where that was going, is I have to go and remember all of these songs we used to do.
Sure.
So in my head, I've been trying to remember how to play a lot of them on guitar, because if you can play them on guitar, I can figure it out on bass then once I pick up this bass. And so I've been listening to a lot of that, but I've been also listening to a lot of stuff that reminded me of things I listened to when we were doing
Oh, wow.
So I was listening to a little bit of The Cure, some old metal, like some old Megadeth stuff, some old Anthrax.
Okay.
It's like the 40th anniversary of their Fistful of Metal album or something like that.
That's crazy.
But I've been listening to a lot of stuff around there, plus some old Joker's Crossing stuff, trying to remember how it all went. So when we finally, all of us dads get our time together and we can go jam.
Yeah.
See if we can put it together. So I've been listening to a lot of old things like that. Still listening to a lot of the Quiet Storm stuff, because ever since I started researching that, I have been hooked on the slow jams. And then my man Frank Turner released a new song.
I like that. I like it.
And
you didn't even have to tell me about this one. I found it and I was like, this is
you
cool.
texted me.
Exactly. I knew you would have heard it, but I saw it.
I'm so proud, by the way.
I can't remember how I found it, but I was just like, well, this guy's anxious to get back on the road and to perform for people. And it was a really good song. What was it called again? The
Gathering.
The Gathering. And it's about basically performing live.
Yep.
And everyone coming to his concerts. It's awesome.
Atmosphere of when you're at a show. And I've been to a few Frank Turner shows, and I've met Frank Turner. And I can tell you that his shows are exactly like that. Like the last time we saw him, we were on the floor, and he gets on during the one song he does, 4 Simple Words. He gets off the stage into the crowd with the people and dances with people.
That's
just
awesome.
Random folks. I mean, I've hugged the guy, but literally during that moment in time, he was like an arm length away from me, where like the pit cleared out, and he was just down there singing and dancing with, and it was, so his shows are very much like that. It's very crowd interactive. He puts on a great show, whether you like his music or not. If you go to a show, you got to respect the energy he puts into it.
Oh yeah. And I think if you miss live music and you miss going to concerts, you will dig this song because it's
exactly what it is. It's made for all of us who miss doing that. And I am his target audience.
Totally. Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's pretty much what I've been listening to, is a lot of stuff, and trying and reconnecting with my guitar again, which I play every week. So I shouldn't say reconnecting with it, but like last night I was learning, and some people might laugh at these songs, but I like them. I don't care. Swing Swing by the All American Rejects. I was learning that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, geez. What was another couple that I was messing around with? Oh, Night Moves by Bob Seger, which I remembered how to play, but I needed to go watch a video to remind me. I was missing a chord and I couldn't figure out what the heck I was missing. And YouTube is fantastic for that.
Yeah. I've been learning
Damn
some
It by
piano
Blink.
songs with YouTube.
Yep. Added Up by the Violent Femmes, American Jesus by Bad Religion,
Excellent.
Lullaby by The Cure, songs like that. It was like, and that's the thing, is we're talking about, getting together and playing these songs again. Another guy I work with, we're going to get together. Hopefully we all get together and maybe create some new stuff. But I'm like, man. And I warned them all. I says, yes, I haven't played in front of people who aren't in my living room or family room in about 20 years.
That's going to be our Patreon.
Yeah, there we
You'll
go.
Put
That'll
a
be the
concert
Patreon.
out for people.
Is when we start doing this stuff, we'll start a Patreon so you can pay to see a bunch of dads trying to recreate awesome.
Just take my money. Where do I put it? Can I put it in a slot in my computer right now?
I'm not taking your money. You, my friend, you're a co-host. You get to watch this for free.
Excellent.
Everybody
Backstage
else has got to pay. Yeah. And
so I've been listening to some weird stuff. I've been listening to weirdness, and I have to.
Are we going to argue? Is that what this is going to be? The rant?
What's that?
The rant that you said you were going to have? Is this going to be? Are we going to argue about the weirdness that you've been listening to?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, first off, I want to tell you that there's a artist named Mike Furman, and if you have kids, young kids, and you're looking for music that isn't Barney and isn't Kids Bop, I recommend you have Your Tiny Robot Play Music by Mike Furman, because he's hilarious, and he writes these songs that are super catchy, and adults would totally get into it, but it's mostly kids music, but it's really good. It's Phirman. So if you've never heard of him, I highly recommend checking out Mike Furman. But
because I went and looked up Mike Furman, I was like, you're listening to Mike Furman, the Corvette specialist?
No, not that one. Not that one. But that's not my rant that I have to get into. First rant, I'm angry that I'm digging Willow Smith's new single.
We needed to talk about that.
I didn't want to like it. I heard that she had a new song and it was going to be more like power punk pop. And I was like, oh, well, what's this going to be? This is Whip My Hair Back and Forth 2.0. And it's good.
It's good.
And she has Travis Barker from Blink-182 plays drums on it. And it is a good punk pop song. Like, it's catchy and her voice is strong and the lyrics are not stupid. And I don't mean that to be mean, but it's a good song. So if you give this a chance, because it sounds weird, but Willow Smith has a new song. It's called Translucent Soul, and it's a good song. So give that a shot. But the thing that I'm most angry about is I was mowing the lawn the other day, listened to podcasts for a while, decided to put on some music, and it was just playing songs that I might like. So it was just picking music, and it started to play Blues Traveler, which I like Blues Traveler. but it was playing.
And by the way,
Hook.
it's Transparent Soul. Sorry.
Transparent.
It's Transparent Soul.
There you go.
Not Translucent.
Thank you. That makes more sense.
Just thought I'd fix that.
Thank you. So started playing Blues Traveler, Hook. And I was like, well, this sounds a little different. Maybe it's my earbuds, or, you know, sometimes when you hear a song and you haven't heard it in a while, it sounds like a different version, but it's just this sound quality.
A little aside there, that's one of the few songs I actually like by them.
Yeah. So I was listening, and I like a lot of Blues Traveler. My wife hates it, but I like a lot of Blues Traveler, but I just don't listen to it very often. So I was like, oh, maybe this is just a weird, you know, sound thing I'm getting because I'm mowing the lawn. Then it played Runaround, and I'm like, same thing. This sounds different. Is this maybe a live? So then I looked at my phone, and it was the tracks were called Hook 2.0 and Runaround 2.0. They just released these, so far internet only, but they re-recorded their hits. Very similar. They didn't remix it. It's not like a dance, you know, EDM song. It's the same song. They didn't change very much, but, you know, John Popper's voice is a little bit older. They maybe slowed it down just a little bit. You can understand him a little better. And his harmonica solos aren't just like someone put a harmonica in their mouth and then electrocuted themselves. Like, they're meaningful and intentional. Like, it's
You mean they
different
weren't
enough.
before?
That's what they sounded like before. It's different enough that I noticed, but it's the same. They didn't try to do anything crazy. and I realized that I liked it. And I was like, well, this is cool. I'm into this. And I approve Blues Traveler. You didn't ask, but I give you my approval that you re-recorded your music. And then I started thinking back to, I don't know if you and I talked about this, but Everclear a few years ago put out an album, and it was called Back to Santa Monica, or
They did?
Return to
We
Santa
did not
Monica.
talk about this, because I might have a problem with this.
It made me so mad because they re-recorded. First off, they re-recorded Santa Monica, and it was not good.
That's a great song. There's
a
no
great
need
song.
to re-record that.
They re-recorded several of their big hits, just decided to remake them, and they weren't improvements. And I was super mad at them because I'm like, why would you take this beautiful song and just try to re-record it? And I don't know if it's like one of those Taylor Swift issues where like their previous record label owns the rights and they wanted to get more money, or I don't know. I didn't do any research, but I remember being really annoyed about Everclear and super happy about Blues Traveler. So I was torn because Blues Traveler did a good job. Everclear did not, in my opinion. And I'm not sure if it's fair that I think Blues Traveler is cool and I think Everclear is stupid for doing it. What are your thoughts about it?
Here's the thing. If the Blues, and I haven't listened to any, I didn't even know they did return to Santa Monica.
Yeah,
it was.
You have to
listen.
listen.
They did it in
It's
2011, dude.
It's weird.
It was 10 years ago now. Just so you know.
It's not good. I was mad back then, and now Blues Traveler just did it too, and I'm totally on board.
Well, and here's the thing. If the Blues Traveler did it and made the songs as good or better than they were, then musically, how could you not approve of it? I mean, they own it. It's their song to do it. So
Agreed.
From them wanting to do it, that's great. Go ahead and do it. But if you make it and it's worse, I mean, I get the artistic integrity you think you might want to have with something, and, you know, this is how I meant it to be. Some people do that because they're like, I really meant it to be this way. So,
I would hope
you meant it to be worse.
I would hope Everclear didn't intend it to be worse and didn't think, well, this is worse, let's still release it. I would think that they,
that song Santa Monica,
it's good.
That was the song. But
they did a bad job.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of those songs that I can put myself in an exact spot where I first heard it. No.
I lost you, buddy.
I'm still here.
Okay. Start over with what you were saying. That song, and then there was just dead air.
That song, Santa Monica.
Yeah.
That song right there by Everclear. It's one of those songs that I can put myself in an exact spot when I first heard it and saw the video on MTV.
Oh, yeah?
I can put myself in the exact spot. It was in my mom and dad's living room. I had just come home from Northern on one of the breaks. I want to say it was Christmas break, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember the time, but I can remember the spot. And it was late. Yeah. I just got done driving. And I was watching MTV because that's what you did back then.
Of course.
And that song played. And I was like, actually, I kind of dig that song. But then I had, being a giant metalhead, I had to pretend I didn't dig that song.
Of course. Yeah.
Because it's not cool. I'm glad I grew out of that phase. I'm glad metalheads out there, it's cool to like other songs that aren't metal. It's okay. Exactly. It doesn't make it any worse. Like there's some really awesome metal bands who cover pop songs and other songs from other genres, and they're awesome. Get over yourself. It's fine to like other music.
Agreed.
I mean, look what Anthrax did with Bring the Noise.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool
I like that
to
one.
like other songs. Oh, yeah. It's great. Yep. But sorry, back to Everclear and Santa Monica. Everclear had a run of songs that were really good. Unless you needed to own the rights to the song or you didn't own the copy or something like that, like the whole Taylor Swift thing.
Yes.
Then I understand you re-recording.
That's the only reason.
Or if you wanted to make the metal version of Santa Monica.
But they didn't. They just did the same thing. It was just not as good. And I have to say that I saw Everclear recently, and they performed those songs, and they also in concert were not as good, which is common. I mean, not all bands can live up to what they can do in a studio live. So I knew going into this new thing that Everclear did, all right, they're a little bit longer in the tooth, and maybe they are tired of playing some of these songs, and it might not be perfect. But I was just really angry. It has a bunch of covers, and I usually love covers, but it was like they were a cover band covering Everclear, and they weren't very good at it. That's the problem.
I do remember them covering Brown Eyed Girl for some reason, and it was good.
Yes, and they did The Boys Are Back in Town, which was awesome. They did a cover of that, which was very good. But I'm here to testify, and you'll have to listen after we're done. Listen to that Back to Santa Monica album, and you're just going to be annoyed. It's just unfortunate. So I'll have to do some research.
I don't want to be annoyed. I'm not going to listen to it. Oh, they did a cover of I Will Follow You Into the Dark. I love Death Cab.
Yes, it's not good.
It's not.
It's like a pop punk version of it, and that song is...
Well, that's okay to me. If it's good, I like that. But you're saying it's not.
It's not great.
That one I might have to check out. I'm not going to ruin Santa Monica. I love that song. It reminds me of a specific place. I can remember exactly, like I can remember the couch. I can remember the color of the carpet. I can remember the damn TV I watched it on. I don't know why, but it sticks there.
And we played it on Radio X all the time. All the time.
Yeah. So the other one was, I got so hooked on that, pun intended, that I forgot we started talking about the Blues Traveler hook. When it comes to the Blues Traveler, I'll have to go listen to that one. I like the original version. That's one of the few songs by them I really dig. And a funny thing about a band like the Blues Traveler, I don't like that whole jam band. That's not my scene. I don't like a lot of that music.
No.
But their live album, Live from the Fall.
Yes.
One of my favorite live albums ever.
It's really good. I have that one too. And I think what they did was they decided we're going to redo these songs now that we are seasoned. We have played this song a million times on tour, and maybe we've learned we like it better doing this a little bit different. And maybe if we're not playing it so fast, people can hear what we're saying. And it's not just me going blah, 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 and
that's
the
one
harmonicas.
That's one of the reasons I like that song.
It's still fast, but you can understand him. And it's not like they made it a ballad. It's just maybe they didn't. Maybe if you were to set them side by side, it would be the same tempo, but it just feels like they might have tweaked it a little bit slower. And it's just good. It's just a good song. And they didn't take any weird artistic risks. They just said, we know this, we like this song. We wrote it this way, so we're going to play it this way. And it's just us after 20 years or whatever playing the song the way we would play it now. And it's I think worth checking out, especially because I haven't heard that song in a while. So I was like excited to hear it. But that was my frustration, because I couldn't jibe the two feelings. Everclear, thumbs down, Blues Traveler, thumbs up. And I actually I kind of like Everclear songs a little bit better in general, but Blues Traveler did a much better job of remaking their music.
Yeah, I just took a look at Everclear's old singles, and they had some bangers, like they say this day and age.
Heroin Girl, great song.
Oh, Heroin Girl, Santa Monica, Heart Spark, $.
Yes.
You Make Me Feel Like a Whore. Just those like 4 right there from 95, 96.
Yeah.
Were great. And then you move on to The Boys Are Back in Town. That was on the Detroit Rock City soundtrack, which I love that movie. I own it.
Mm-hmm.
They did have a period of time where I didn't dig a bunch of their songs, like Everything to Everyone, even though that was like number 1 on the alt charts. I Will Buy You a New Life. I'm like, Father of Mine. AM Radio was good. I like that one.
Yeah, but they're a pop band now. Like when that came out,
that was
we're a pop band.
That was 21 years ago, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last song though that they did, and I just got a kick out of it, and I played it a lot, was Volvo Driving Soccer Mom.
Yeah,
just the name of it. Come on.
They were definitely doing a formula at that point. I mean, that was and I can't say, listen, I can't play any instrument, and I would never be famous for anything like that. So more power to them. But at a certain point, they're doing the same song. They're catering to a different audience. When they wrote, the band that wrote Heroin Girl is not the same band that wrote Volvo Driving Soccer Mom. You know what I'm saying?
No, but
like
but they're writing about the same girl. She just grew up.
You're probably right. And if you're out there, tweet us. Yeah.
And that song always reminded me of the big hit by Fountains of Wayne, Stacy's Mom.
Yes, exactly.
I know that they weren't even made in the same year, but those two songs in my head, like if I play one, I play the other.
Now, that's someone who did a really good job of writing pop music. Fountains of Wayne. What was his name? He passed away.
I think he was a COVID fatality.
And they just did a tribute show to him, I think, or they're doing one.
It's but no, I was wrong. Stacy's Mom and Volvo Driving Soccer Mom were the same year, because
that makes sense.
they probably are in the same metaverse. So the Heroin Girl turned into Stacy's mom, who drove a Volvo.
Yeah, for sure, because she's got it going on. You drive a Volvo when you've got it going on.
Dude, that was Rachel Hunter in that video. Wow. She was like, what, 55 in that video?
Yeah.
Oof, fantastic. Yep. God, what was that guy's name? We are totally off track on this now. Totally off track.
It was
Adam Schlesinger.
There you go. You got it. You win the points for this episode.
And we could end right there, because he plays bass. I'm going to buy a bass and play bass in my old garage band.
Oh, I can't wait. Look for our Patreon. Jayce is going to play. He's going to rock out on bass. I'm going to give you a bunch of bass songs that I want you to just play. And then sometimes you can have the rest of your band in with you, but sometimes I just want it to be a solo bass song. Slap into bass.
What did I get myself into?
I think I know at least 10 people who would pay $1 to see that.
I know at least 10 people that would pay $1 to watch me make an ass of myself playing bass. I'll probably, I know there's real bass players out there that if they're listening to this, they're like, yeah, the bass has a bad enough rap, dude, and now you're going to do this? Thanks a lot.
You might turn things around. You might make bass the most popular instrument.
I might make bass
I feel like you could. Yeah.
I'm going to name my bass Sexy Discretion.
Perfect.
And that's how we'll wrap this up. Let's try
Do
this,
a thing with your hand. Do a thing with your hand so I can know when to start talking. Not something obscene.
Jazz hands?
Let's do a thing.
So, I'm Jayce.
And I'm Matt.
And I know that you think it's just a fantasy.
But since your dad walked out,
your mom could use a guy like me. All right, let's try it.
Do a hand thing. You forgot to do that.
Okay. Was it Wayne's World? Too bad we're not recording the video of
know.
this. Okay.
All right.
I'm Jayce.
And I'm Matt.
And I know you think it's just a fantasy.
But since your dad walked out,
Your mom could use
a guy like me.
So am I supposed to point and wait? Or am I supposed to point and we go right then? I have no idea why we never made it professionally.
When you point, start saying it. Because I'll start saying it.
Okay, we'll try it again. Right. And see. Well, I'm Jayce.
Hold on.
All right, let's gather ourselves.
You're professional.
All right, professionals.
Okay.
Well, I'm Jayce.
And I'm Matt.
And I know you think it's just a fantasy.
I have a problem.
And this is how it ends, folks.